Understanding Black fatigue. Definition and context. Black fatigue is defined as the extreme physical, mental, and spiritual exhaustion caused by repeated and cumulative exposure to racism and its structures, resulting in chronic health issues and intergenerational trauma for Black individuals and communities. This exhaustion is not only the result of overt acts of racism, but also accumulates from daily microaggressions, systemic inequity, and the enduring need to constantly prove one's worth in various social, educational, and professional environments. Notably, Black fatigue is distinct from general stress or burnout in that it specifically arises from the continued impact of racial oppression, often persisting regardless of socioeconomic status or educational advancement. Research confirms that the physiological and psychological consequences include elevated rates of hypertension, heart disease, sleep disturbances, and mental health disorders like anxiety and depression, compounded by reduced access to appropriate care and frequent misdiagnosis. The importance of healing. Why Black fatigue requires attention. Taking Black fatigue seriously is crucial, as its cumulative impact is linked to literally killing people, mind, body, and spirit. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, officially recognize racism as a threat to public health, and the American Heart Association has highlighted how structural racism-based stress inflicts lasting damage on both the body and brain. The health risks are not hypothetical. Black Americans face higher rates of chronic diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, and adverse mental health outcomes, independently of income or education. Importantly, the continuous nature of racial stress means that healing requires not only personal resilience but also structural change to prevent ongoing harm. Individual-level healing strategies. Setting boundaries and rest. One of the most important individual strategies is the conscious setting of boundaries to minimize exposure to racial trauma triggers, including limiting consumption of racially charged news or media content. This is not avoidance, but a protective measure for psychological health. The simple act of rest is described as revolutionary in a form of protest against dehumanizing expectations. Rest affirms humanity and counters societal messages that demand constant overperformance. Validation, affirmation, and self-acceptance. Healing is supported when Black individuals receive validation for their experiences of racism from trusted people, counselors, or therapists. Recognition and affirmation of one's identity, whether through therapy, spiritual practice, or personal reflection, help rebuild the self-esteem often eroded by persistent discrimination. Visual and cultural reminders in the home and workplace celebrating Blackness can reinforce self-acceptance and cultural pride, offering daily affirmation and healing through community-centered aesthetics. Spiritual and mindfulness practices. Spirituality and mindfulness, including prayer, meditation, and use of mantras, are commonly employed as restorative practices. Engaging in faith-based activities or structured meditation sessions addresses the spiritual toll of Black fatigue, while grounding the individual in communities of shared belief. Comprehensive self-care. Comprehensive self-care includes recognizing the signs of racial trauma, anxiety, fatigue, sleep issues, and proactively engaging in activities that bring joy or relaxation. This may involve unplugging or detaching from harmful people and environments and taking time off from demanding roles when possible. Self-care is not a cure for systemic ills but is considered essential for day-to-day coping and survival. Building support networks. Building solidaristic support networks, either informally through friends and family or formally via affinity groups, sister circles, or mental health communities, counters isolation and offers emotional sustenance. Safe spaces for sharing lived experiences, such as monthly gatherings for Black professionals or Black student-centered affinity groups, provide validation, connectedness, and opportunity for collective healing. Professional mental health support. Culturally competent therapy is vital for processing racial stress and trauma. Access to Black therapists or specialized networks, e.g., Black Emotional and Mental Health Collective, Therapy for Black Girls, and Therapy for Black Men, ensures that clients are understood not just clinically but also within the context of their lived, racialized experiences. Therapy affirms the validity of racial trauma and facilitates recovery strategies tailored to Black individuals' needs. Community and organizational healing approaches. Creating safe and affirming spaces. Organizations and communities can facilitate healing by establishing regular listening sessions, affinity groups, and confidential feedback channels for Black employees, students, or community members. Providing safe spaces within institutions to process, decompress, and connect is fundamental to healing collective exhaustion. Shifting organizational culture. Organizational leaders are urged to acknowledge the emotional toll of racism, provide mental health resources, and respond proactively to the impacts of racial trauma. This includes shifting from a purely capitalistic to a social justice-driven model of diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, ensuring transparency in reporting racial climate, and holding leadership accountable for change. Community-based mental health initiatives. Community mental health resources, such as 24/7 crisis support hotlines like Blackline and culturally adapted participatory programs, are increasingly recognized as vital interventions for Black fatigue. These initiatives provide immediate support during crises and foster long-term resilience through education, skill building, and community empowerment. Activism and agency. Individual and collective empowerment through activism is also a path to healing. Taking action, e.g., participating in movements, engaging in advocacy, transforms feelings of helplessness into agency, which research has associated with improved mental health outcomes and increased self-esteem. Addressing internalized racism and intersectionality. Healing from Black fatigue requires recognizing and counteracting internalized oppression for comprehensive psychological wellness. Resources focused on internalized racism, intersectional experiences, and culturally affirming identity development contribute to addressing the hidden injuries of systemic racism. Supporting Black women and marginalized subgroups. Special attention is warranted for Black women and others who face compounded stress at the intersection of multiple marginalized identities. Their healing needs may include gender-affirming spaces, culturally sensitive interventions, and tailored professional development that values growth and addresses racialized labor burdens. Recommendations for allies and systemic change. Allies can support healing by listening with humility, validating Black experiences, and taking on responsibility for addressing systemic racism in their own spheres of influence. True healing for Black fatigue, however, necessitates deep systemic change, transforming policies, social norms, and institutional practices that perpetuate racial harm. Conclusion. Healing from Black fatigue is a complex and ongoing process that requires action at personal, communal, and systemic levels. While individual strategies such as rest, validation, cultural affirmation, mindfulness, and professional therapy are essential to day-to-day well-being, lasting healing depends on broader societal commitment to dismantling the structures of racism that cause Black fatigue in the first place. For guidance tailored to your specific situation, it is strongly advisable to consult a qualified health professional or counselor with expertise in racial trauma and culturally competent care. After delving into the impactful concept of Black fatigue and its deep-rooted significance in our everyday lives, we extend an invitation for you to deepen your engagement with this vital discussion. By participating in our thought-provoking poll, have you experienced or witnessed Black fatigue in your community? You'll not only contribute your voice but also prompt personal reflection. To further enhance your understanding, download a detailed PDF summary of Episode 1, which includes key insights and guiding questions crafted to provoke meaningful discourse. As you absorb this information, we encourage you to connect with others. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section to help foster a robust community dialogue. Your involvement is crucial, and by liking, subscribing, and joining the conversation in our social media forums or groups, you help amplify this important discussion and connect with a growing community committed to change and awareness. Like the video, subscribe to our channel for more insightful content, and share your own experiences in the comments section. Your stories are crucial for fostering community dialogue and raising awareness. Join ongoing discussions and connect with others on our social media platforms or groups dedicated to this series on our Patreon channel. Engage with peers who are also passionate about understanding and making positive change regarding Black fatigue. Thank you for watching and see you again on Episode 2.
Got him!
Until next time, this is your boy, K-Bars, for Into the Deep End Podcast. And I'm out.